Hey guys, hello. Hey everybody. Me who's like, oh my gosh, I was just running to get into my chair. How's everybody doing? Can you guys see me and hear me okay? Hey Case, hi. Hey Nash. Hey Milo, hi. Yeah, I was on stew early this morning. That was so fun. Oh my gosh, I sounded so nervous, guys. Oh my goodness. I was literally like shaking. Oh my gosh. Hey, hi to the Philippines. Hey Mindy. Hi Belzone. Hey. I just want to make sure you guys all get in here. I know we were planning for what time are we planning for? When like in 30 minutes. I thought if we do it now, then that will mean that it's less likely that we're going to end up having to rush through the end, kind of like we did last time. So my thought was, why don't we just like get started with this? Because it is a lot of information to go through about these aircraft. And what we'll do is I'm going to have it on Twitter too. So if you guys are watching on Twitter, hi, nice to see you guys. We will be probably on Twitter for most of the show, part of the show, and then eventually we will end up scooching over just to be on YouTube, just because you guys know, Team Small Potatoes, we got to hang over here, you know? So it's so good to see you guys. I just wanted to make sure to let folks come in and then we can get started. Oh my gosh, you guys, we're going to do a couple minutes of yapping first. So just a warning for everyone. So this morning I was on stew. Oh my gosh, why did I sound so scared? It was like right when John Cullen was on stew this morning. It's a great episode. You guys would love it. It is so good because it's Stu and John. I'm like, these are my idols. Like, these are my heroes. You know what I mean? Yes. Hi, Tickle Your Homies. Hello. Listen, the username, what can I do? It's hilarious. But if you guys could do me a huge favor, if you could hit like on the stream, especially if we're over at YouTube, because as you guys can imagine, this is a sensitive topic. And so my thought has been that if we do that, then hopefully the algorithm will like us a little bit more. Anyway, so I was going to tell you guys that I was so scared because all of a sudden they were having a great conversation. Everything was super good. And then Blake Bednars called in. I just wasn't expecting it. I'm always fine to talk to anybody. But he called in with a really good question for John. And then John had to go. So it's like right at the moment. I don't know that John was at that moment prepared to like take questions. I know that can, be a little bit of a challenge, but I was like, okay, I think I know the answer to this. So like, let me try to respond to it a little bit because it feels relevant. It was a good question. It was a very good question. So I definitely respect him for asking it. But then I got on there and I was like, I was so scared. I'm not great with, listen, conflict and all that good stuff is like just fine. But, questions and all of that stuff. But there has been all of that kind of like infighting stuff that always gives me like in the pit of my stomach, Hey to the mods. Hey guys. Hey Mindy. Oh, I'm glad you're up now. Hey Renee. Hi. Hi, gorgeous. How are you? Case. Hello, darling. Oh, Cryptic's in here. Yay. I'm glad. So anyway, let me tell you guys first thing about what Blake's question was. So let me just give you guys a quick little, rundown because it's all relevant. It's all part of what we're talking about here today. So this morning, John Cullen, who is a great YouTuber, he's one of the greats, guys. This guy's one of the greats. He went on with Stu Peters on Stu's show, which is on Kick. It's a really wonderful show. Stu, I think, is really leading the charge as far as getting to the bottom of September 10th. Him with Candace and Bear, but Stu is really making a point to be a megaphone and to make sure that every person who's trying to investigate this has kind of the space to add their perspective. Hey, Kino. Hey, Lucky Seven. Oh my gosh. Okay, can we just put this up for a second? Kino, as always, amazing comment. The mods are the best. The mods are the best. Like, oh, I'm so lucky. I'm literally so lucky to have like this amazing team, like the Tots. I call them the Hot Tots and stuff. Anyway, we love nicknames. What can we do? Anyway, but you're absolutely right, Kino. Thanks for saying it. I also wanted to talk about what Blake said when he came in. So John Cullen is almost due. They are on his show, and they are talking about the planes, the Hades ones. I'm like, can I say it out loud? I think I have to wait a certain number of minutes before I can actually say that term. But our AXEL10 and our AXEL90 are jets that we have been looking at. And then they went through the drones too. Now, just between, between all of us, I think that everybody has a little bit of a different feeling about what the purpose was of the drones. That's kind of been my impression, is that every person seems to have a little bit of a different impression of what exactly the purpose would be of the drones, or even if there were drones there for sure. I know that there has been footage that has been put out, and I thought it was fascinating. I find it compelling, but I also believe in the exploding mic theory. Personally, that's just me. I think that they actually are not in conflict at all. My best guess is that if there were drones there, they may or may not have been attached to our AXEL10 and AXEL90, but that ultimately the purpose of them would be to do things like reconnaissance, or even sometimes some manipulation on someone's phone, stuff like that. So I've thought to myself for a while that just because the drones were there doesn't mean that the drone took the shot. It doesn't mean that it didn't. And just because the jets were there doesn't mean that the mic wasn't part of this whole thing. I think it was. Yes, exactly, Lemon Curd. Thank you so much for saying this. I really appreciate it. Yes, we have to be open-minded. I really think that. Now, what I've been working on doing since September is developing my working theory. So as you guys know, that is something that I set a very high bar for it, but if something is extremely compelling and I can find no other way to rule it out, I put it into my working theory, which means that it's in until it's out, Now, eventually, information may come to light that makes you have to rethink things. And actually, the Hades jets are kind of a prime example of that. I do remember that oh, hey, Jeannie. Hi. I love seeing your name run across. I do remember that a number of weeks ago, maybe it was only weeks, a little while ago, Blake Bednars had posted footage of the Hades jet, what looks like it is part of the Hades jet fleet. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that jet in particular, I don't know that we can see the tail number of it. Maybe it's 2100L. I'm like, I need to go back and check. But the point is that when he posted that, I thought that it was noteworthy that the jet itself is on the ground. You can see the pilot get out. I'm like, guys, it's compelling footage. It is for sure. The thing is that the actual pilot, he's walking around the jet. He's doing like a walk around. It's pretty normal stuff. It looks like authentic footage that makes sense to me. But notably, on the bottom of the jet, the radome isn't there. Now, for Blake, as I understand it, this made him feel as though it was possible that the Hades jet was not important. And I can understand. I understand that it is confusing the ways that military procurement works, the testing and incorporation works. But I think it's worth mentioning the fact that that system, the pod that's on the bottom of the jet, I'm like, should I show a picture? I feel like I should show a picture, shouldn't I? That probably would be smart. Oh, should we go on Twitter? Let me find the video. While I'm sitting here talking about it, because it's really compelling. And I think that it's important for us to make sure that yes, she called me trash. Yes, so I understand again that there's different feelings about different folks and their motivations and the stuff that they know or stuff that they don't. But what I would argue is that any person that is in the search for truth deserves to be heard out and also deserves to have a conversation with them. I will talk to anybody that really is my feeling, like anybody except for the mean guys, So I love you too, Renee. Okay. You guys are so amazing working with me while I'm over here trying to internet. You guys are literally the best. And also, you guys probably know all of the craziness that we have been dealing with when we're using our computer and interneting, but I think we're okay. I really do. I think we're going to be just fine. What's his name? Blake. But I do want to show you guys because, again, it is important to look through pieces of information and to keep it in mind when we are, discussing the potential anomalies that we saw on that day and on the days after. Oh, don't worry. No, Nash, don't worry. He wasn't calling me trash. That's his username. Isn't that funny? Yes. So also quick aside, as you guys know, so thanks for saying this, Runner Doc. So Stu is fine. I was on his show this morning. It's a great episode. Encourage you guys to check it out. Not just because of me, certainly not because of me. I was on there for 5 minutes. It was an amazing conversation between Stu and John Cullen. Incredible, like absolutely incredible. So, please go watch it. It's on Kick, and I think that it will broadcast tonight. It'll be on Twitter and on Rumble as well. But let me just go ahead and really quickly put this on the stage here. I think that this video, here it is. Perfect. So let me. Oh no, I'm clicking buttons. You guys know I get myself into trouble when I click too many buttons. Okay. Okay. Wonder if this will work good. I think it will. Okay, here we go. Can you guys see that all right? No, you can't see it yet, can you? Guys, we are off to a start, gang. Oh my word. Okay, hold please. Thank you. We're going to add this to the screen. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. We're doing tech stuff. But I think that the video is compelling. And so I do think that it's important for us to take a look at it together because I think, realistically, logically, a mini Baron. Please don't tell him. Don't tell him, guys. I'm going to have to put another $1 in the Baron jar, please. So, okay, so let me just restart this video, but I do want you guys to see it. Okay. Can you guys see that okay? I think you can. Am I frozen? No, I'm not. Okay, so I'm like me doing the voiceover. So this would appear to be the same jet as the Hades jet. Can you guys see it? Back. Oh, good. Okay, thank you. So this jet would appear to be the same jet as one of the Hades jets. Now, as you guys can imagine, there's a lot to see in this specific piece of footage. But I think that the parts that to me seem like they are the most compelling is that we can see the pilot get on and off. I like to see that they were in American uniform. That's a good sign. I was a little worried that we were going to see some, that was being contracted out to maybe a foreign organization, if you know what I mean. But it doesn't appear that it is. And so I see like a, U.S. Air Force uniform, and that specifically we can see the underside of the jet. Does that make sense? So when you're looking at the underbelly of the jet, see where the man is walking right there? See how you can see the wing, and you can see him walking back, and he's, walking under the wing right there. Okay, so what is missing is this pod that would be otherwise underneath the jet. So let me hop over here. We're going to pause this one. And let me see if there's a good photo of it. Let's see. Ooh, this is a good photo. Hold on. I'm going to share the screen 1 second. Okay. So, well, I need a bigger, yay. Okay. So can you guys see right here? This is a picture of that jet in particular, right? You guys can see it okay? Okay, yay. So at this point, you can see how the jet, do you guys see that pod that's on the bottom of it? Hold please, let me hop over to it. Okay, see it's right down here. I'm like, you guys may need to, pull your screen up to your eyes. But I don't know if it's like, it's not the most visible, and I am sorry for that. But what that is they call that a radome. Now that in particular is a ground mapping system. So basically, when the jet is fully configured, as in 100% completed and configured, what ends up happening is that they fly it around, and from the ground, from us, looking up at it, it looks honestly just like a totally normal plane. We would not be able to really see the radome from there. Now, that's not actually where the drones would drop from. Those drones are going to drop from those pods. Those pods are the things underneath the wings. That's not engines. Those would be drones. I thought that it was a really compelling point that Blake was making, that because it doesn't have these attachments, his feeling was that perhaps that meant that there was a question about how much those jets matter. Now, if you guys did watch yesterday, I feel like you guys were with me yesterday. What I'll remind you guys is that we know that those planes were there the day before. They met with folks at Fort Banana. They overflew the event twice on the day that it happened. And in addition to that, they also flew over while Tyler Robinson was being arrested. For me, I'm like, there's no way that that's not an important part of the story, if you ask me. That's my personal impression, is that if the drones are not relevant, that is possible. It doesn't mean that the planes are not relevant. And if the planes are not relevant, then they would not have at least been there on the day that Tyler was turning himself in. It's too many coincidences for me to feel like I'm okay with ruling it out. Okay, so yes, Fort Banana. Thank you guys for speaking in code with me. It's something we have to do. We have to outsmart the sensors. You guys know how it is. Now I want to show you guys the actual flights just to remind everybody really quick. Or actually, do you guys remember the flights? You guys remember those 3 flights? We talked about it yesterday. I don't want to sorry, we had to kind of split things up today. So I don't want to give people the same information twice. But there's another little piece of it that I do think maybe is worth talking about. So on the 3rd day, when the plane leaves Ontario, California, and goes to St. George, Utah, do you guys know it was going 665 miles per hour? That is so far beyond the max speed of that airframe. You guys, it is supposed to go 516 knots. That is the max airframe speed. Now, as you can imagine, if a jet like that is overflying its max speed, that means that it risks actual structural damage to the jet itself. I mean, somebody said yesterday, GTA driving. Yes, it was GTA driving. And so for me, I was like, there's no way that that's normal. 665 miles an hour. Now, remember, guys, we're not talking about a fighter jet. We are not talking about a fighter jet. We are talking about quite literally a business jet. They are not meant to overfly their max speed like that. They're really that's a really big deal. And so my thought has been, well, if they were willing to do that, then it really does mean, in my opinion, that they were in a very, very serious hurry. And so for someone to be in that much of a hurry to try to get there, to meet up with Tyler Robinson, to me, I'm like, it feels as though I still have to keep them as a part of my working theory. I'm not ready to rule them out. And that's just me, but I really do feel that way. Okay, so hold please. Okay, we are definitely doing some on the fly interneting right now. We're trying our best. Thank you guys for hanging with me. You guys are the sweetest, absolutely. I'm just trying to move everything into the right spot. Sorry about that. So, oh my goodness. All right. We tried to get a second screen and I thought that was going to make my life easier, and it turns out it is not. Okay, so yeah, hold please. I'm gonna have a hold please jar at some point. For now, we'll just let it be. I know, guys. I'm trying to fix my screen so that it stops doing what it's doing, because it is continual. Give me just a moment. Am I back? Am I back, everybody? Can someone tell me in the chat if I'm back? I think I fixed it. We are being our own producer and director. We're good? Okay. No, we're not. All right, hold on. Okay, back. Yay, thank you. Guys, I'm like, at this point, I don't even know. At this point, I don't even know what the computer thing. Oh my word. All right, fine, I'm folding. We'll get the new stuff. It's been kind of a lot. And I'm like, well, and of course, we're talking about the important and sensitive stuff. So it does occur to me that, there could be a little bit of relevance to all of that, but I don't know for sure. Okay, so let's go ahead and, okay, the glitch is gone. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Let's talk about the procurement process for a jet like the Hades jet. So the Hades jet program is actually one that was initially, it was a contract that was signed all the way back in November 2024. So right when Trump was elected, okay, before he even got into office. Now, I think that it is important to, look at this. I think it's important to contextualize how strange the behavior of that jet was that day. Somebody made such a good point. Hillary, thank you for saying this. Oh my gosh, amazing point. Let me show this comment on the screen. Thank you, Hillary. My dad's a pilot. I've flown with him for 25 years. Without giving him context, he says it's the most bizarre maneuver and likely military operation. It blew his mind. Exactly. You know, Hillary, excellent point. That is what, so every, aviator that I have spoken with is like, what were they doing? Because remember, guys, think about the fact that it's not as though we are flying a Blue Angel here. It'd be one thing. I bet you that the pilot themselves was actually like a Blue Angel pilot, because the amount of actual capability, I'm like, those are some Pentagon level maneuvers that they did. And they're not flying a Blue Angel. This isn't like the kind of thing that you can, we do in all of these. You can't. This is a business jet. And they flew down to 200 feet over the water, over the lake. I think that for me, it is too relevant, these odd flight patterns, for us to ignore the fact that it was flying within its operational profile, right? So if the plane itself was flying within its normal operational profile, then in my opinion, that points to the fact that it wasn't just a happenstance that it went there. That becomes less likely when we consider the fact that it was going around, going to the tri-state area the day before, attends the event, flies over the event 2 hours beforehand, comes back to the event 20 minutes after, and then goes overhead at Tyler Robinson's arrest, literally down to the minute. We talked about that yesterday, and if you guys have not had a chance to see that part of it, then that's okay. And Erica, you're all good. Yes, and it wasn't in the flight plan. Exactly. So that's what I'm saying, is that the fact that it was acting this way is way beyond the point of random. So for me, I put it into my working theory. When I started to look into the jet very specifically, I thought at that point, okay, you know what I need to do? I need to find out, where was this jet in the process of actually being procured and fully modified in 2025, right? Because we know that the aircraft itself actually came online in January of 2025. Well, technically, it's made by Sierra Nevada Corporation. It's a Bombardier jet, so that's just the airframe, right? Think of it like, do you guys remember that show, Pimp My Ride? Does anyone remember that? I hope somebody, I'm like, guys, I'm aging myself by saying that. But honestly, that was such a good show. I loved that show, Pimp My Ride, remember? And so what they would do is they would take someone's car and they would put all of these different modifications on it. I remember somebody got a popcorn maker in the car. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I remember that. And it was so fun. Okay, I'm glad. Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one who remembers that show. That show's near and dear to my heart. And it ended up looking really cool. Well, okay. The Bombardier itself is the person's original car. And then what Sierra Nevada Corporation's responsibility is they are going in to be, what was his name? Who's the guy who did the show? Exhibit? Is it Exhibit? Well, please don't quote me on that. I'm like, I remember his face. I remember him smiling and showing the people the car, but I don't remember what the rapper's name was in particular. But anyway, so he would go and he would do the West Coast Customs, and it was Exhibit. Thank you, Baby J. And West Coast Customs. I remember that, right? Okay. Sierra Nevada is West Coast Customs. Let's think of it like that. So Bombardier hands over this jet that's like a basic jet, right? It's just I'm sure that they made it, to their specifications, but they handed it over to them. And then at that point, West Coast Customs, AKA Sierra Nevada, they go, they take it, and they pimp their ride. Right? Yes, Lindsay on MTV. You guys remember? Yeah, West Coast. Okay, I'm glad. I'm so glad. I'm right where I need to be. I'm glad you guys understand what I'm talking about. So anyway, what they do is they make all of these customizations, and those customizations are specific to what the mission set is of that jet. Now, that is something that takes several months. It's not a fast process. As we know, if we're talking about like a D-check, which is a really, really big production for a jet, it can take months. It can really take months and months. And that would have been after January. Now, if you guys recall, that is the sort of thing that they do at places like, kind of like what we saw at our Duncan in Provo. Sorry, guys, where is my brain? Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. It was like all of the anxiety earlier, and then it's like after you relax, then you're just like, so I was like, we better go now, because after I'm done with everything, then I'm like, I'm just going to lay in my bed like this, and I'm going to watch Candace in my AC, and then I'm going to be so happy. So anyway, so after West Coast Customs takes the car, then they go and deliver it to the happy owner, and they're like, look how we pimped your ride. That's exactly how SNC delivered it to, what is it called? Fort Bliss. Fort Bliss is that military base that is right there in, oh my gosh. Oh, Fort Bliss is right there in Texas. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm trying to run through supers like as we go, just because I don't want us to get in conflict with, thank you, sweet swine of mine. You are so kind. That means everything to me. This should cover your swear jar and help with the computer. Thank you. That is so, so, so kind. Oh my gosh. Does that mean I get to say, hold please, like 100? Exactly. Like, we are definitely right there. And thank you. Okay. Now I'm like, okay, you're right. We just got to get the new camera and get the new computer. You guys have been so generous. I cannot tell you how much it means to me to feel so supported by wonderful, wonderful people like this. It is just, the generosity of you guys is sweet swine. Thank you. You just, I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate being supported. It means everything to me. You guys are so wonderful. And then we can keep doing this. I'm like, guys, I really, really, really want to be able to keep doing this. Not saying that I wouldn't, but it's just that kind of support, that material support. It makes a huge difference. And I would love nothing more than be able to do this full time as my full time. So thank you, sweet swine. You are so, so, so kind. That just means a lot to me. So I wanted to make sure that I acknowledge it. So I'm like, where was I? Yes, you blew my mind, sweet swine. So now I'm like, I got to reshuffle my brain. Hold on. Yeah, we have a little bit. Luckily, we have some for the hold please jar. Oh, Casey, thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Casey, thank you, honey. I appreciate you. Yes, for Team Tot. Thank you. That will go into the Mod Christmas gift fund. Don't worry, we're planning ahead. I was like, we have to plan ahead for such things. Thank you, Savage. Not so savage. I know you're sweet. Thank you for being here, and thank you for helping to support. You guys are just so, so wonderful. Oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. But I'm so glad that all of these topics are really resonating with people, because, guys, you should have seen it months ago. It was just me, on the interneting and being like, will anyone else care about this stuff? Will anyone else understand how crazy this stuff is? So finding all of you guys and my community, it means the world. So we are all Team Tater Tot, and thank you, Case. Now, as far as the delivery, I'm like, okay. I will get focused. I'm trying my best. As far as the delivery date, we do not know what the specific delivery date was of either of the Hades jets. Please recall that there's 98 Lima. Okay, so that's our Hades, our AXEL10. And then there's also 21 Lima. So that is, N2100L. Now, both of those are the same. They function the same. However, what we cannot say for sure is in their process where they exactly were at as far as the accoutrements, as far as the accessories that were put onto those jets at that time. So again, the footage that Blake had was compelling. I did try to ask him when the footage was from, because I think it's really fascinating, the idea that, well, if they didn't have the pods, what would that mean? If they did not have the Radome, what would that mean? And I think that to me, it actually really, really would be helpful to know. So I'm like, Blake Bednars, if you happen to see this, can you please just let me know when the footage was taken? Because if it was taken way back in January, February, March, then we wouldn't be able to assume that Radome and those pods had not been put on. But if the footage is from June, July, August, if the footage is recent, well, we have to think about that, because what that could mean is that those jets would have been functioning without the accessories. Now, for them to function without the accessories does not mean that they were not still very much usable. Like I said, they do a lot of stuff. Those jets are able to geofence. They are able to sweep up data. Okay, that's something that they do just with little antennas that are placed all along the jet, which we could see pretty much from the beginning. But they wouldn't have been able to do ground mapping. That pod that's on the bottom of it, the canoe, that's for ground mapping. And so what that means is that it is taking a super HD video, essentially, of everything that's on the ground. And as you guys can imagine, it's very fancy. So it's like, if you're looking at the image, you would not just see every car on the road, but it's kind of, it's doing surveillance, kind of like imagine if you had a flock camera. It's a flying flock camera. Does that make sense? So then when it's sitting there and it's looking on the ground, it's not just saying, here's an image. It's like, here, we can identify the locations. Here, we can identify sometimes license plates. We can identify cell phones. It's a flying flock camera. Now, that's the reason I am not a huge fan of it, guys, because I'm like, I can understand the value. And we have been doing aerial surveillance as a country for decades. We have done aerial surveillance for decades in this country, but not a big fan of the flock camera thing. Feels very invasive. So the idea that they can be, yes, flying flock. Okay, so that's like, I'm like, this is a good way for people to kind of think of it. So how it's like, and then it'll do the little square and it can tell, oh, this is this license plate. This is this person. This is all of that. That's the sort of thing it's doing or capable of doing. It's not just taking a picture. So it's a very, very, very advanced system. Initially, when the contract was initially signed, it was for $982 million. Now, I think that number is actually on the low end because each one is incredibly expensive. So as far as I know, it's very possible that they kind of tend to break up contracts that are really high, especially because we know that anything that's over $1 billion is subject to congressional oversight. Does that make sense? And I don't think that they really wanted Congress to have to approve this funding. But if you keep it right under the line, hey, it's just another drop in the bucket. It's just another, quick little purchase that they don't really have to explain to anybody. I always look at contracts that are hovering right underneath that $1 billion mark. And I think to myself, is there something they're trying to sneak a little bit? They did that with the drone contract too, that I think, maybe was potentially involved. Now, whether that was the fullness of the contract or it was, to me anyway, more likely for 2 of the jets, maybe 4. And then their intention was to revisit the funding again after those jets were completed, tested, and deployed. But either way, the plan initially was to have those planes and buy a total of 12 of them. Now, guys, 12 of them and $1 billion, that does not make sense. It doesn't to me. That's why I really do believe that it was much more likely that they were like funding a few of them to see, and then they go on. But the extended plan, was for them to buy 12. As you guys can imagine, the owner of that company, they probably had already spent that money in their mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, they probably were like, ooh, we are getting a really, really, really big contract. This is the kind of contract that a company loves because it's for a limited number of products, right? Their overhead spend is not nearly as high when we're talking about like a mass, like if you were doing ammunition or you were doing attributable drones or something, you have a lot of overhead. You have to spend a lot. If you're only making 12 or however many 2 jets, the amount that you have to spend and the work that you have to do is just a lot less. So I get the feeling they were very happy about it. However, I thought that it was particularly noteworthy that starting in May of last year, all of a sudden, there started to be rumors. And I'm sorry for saying that, but I saw this comment go by. Hi, Tammy, by the way. Exactly. As Stu says, who handed over the keys? We need to figure that out. And guys, I think we did. I think I have a list of names, to be honest with you. I think. I mean, I know who the people are who actually are in charge of the program. We've identified the individuals that are in charge of the program, that are responsible for it, and the corporate executives that are also a part of it. So I think we know. I think. And that's what we're here to talk about today, ultimately. But as far as the actual ordering of that mission, that is harder to kind of pin down. Now, what I did was I went through and I identified all of the individuals that are associated with the program that I found interesting information about, that I think is relevant. And that's what we're here to discuss. It doesn't mean, however, that, Andrew Evans, who is the man who is the director of the program, it does not mean that it would have been necessarily him who said, I need you to fly to Provo and go and do this. Think about that. It still falls under chain of command, which means ultimately this would have been the sort of thing that is overseen generally by the Department of Defense, but it is a COGO. COGO. What that means is the actual item, the jet itself, and the pilot within the jet, they are corporate owned, they're company owned, as in like a private contractor owned, government operated. So just like that footage that we saw, the jet itself, that's Bombardier, that's Sierra Nevada. But the pilot, the man in the box, government. So it's a government that is operating it. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I hope that kind of, So as far as the person who would have ordered that specific mission, it just depends on how high up it goes, ultimately. We don't know for sure. I'm not saying that it would have been Hegseth. I did think it was notable that we found some indications of some very high DoD folks that may or may not have been there at Fort Banana. Brad Cooper, for example, his main deputies, for example, and these folks too. But I would like us to remember that just because they were there and involved does not mean that they're directly responsible for what we saw, right? We still don't know. And I don't want to point the finger, but to say that there's no involvement would be not ethical, not honest, right? Like, I cannot say that there is no involvement. I think there was. Now, John Cullen feels in particular that the drones that we saw there that day may have been the Bird of Prey, which is by Elbit Systems. I understand that it's compelling. It is. I definitely looked into all of the different quadcopter options, as well as those drones that technically would fit within the profile of what we visually saw. For me, the place where I kind of stop is that I do not think that looked like a gunshot. It just doesn't look like a gunshot to me. Also, thank you, Nash. And guys, thank you for using code words in the chat. I so appreciate it. You guys are literally so wonderful and amazing. Oh my goodness, Miss Davis. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hello to the mister. Hi, Mrs. Davis. Thank you. Hi, Anna Sparrow, my kitty, and I would like to send love from Arizona and a little something for the new camera. Thank you so much. Keep going, and thank you for all your hard work. Team Tot. Oh, Mrs. Davis, thank you. And thank you to Sparrow. Oh my goodness. I'm like, guys, I have two kitties. Two. One's name is Kitty, and one's name is Meow Kitty. I assume you guys can guess why, because one of them meows. I like the name Sparrow. That's actually very cute. I'm like, oh, is she playful? And she Thank you, Mrs. Davis. I just, like I said, you guys, I'm overwhelmed by the support. I don't really know even how to think it through. I don't know. What I can tell you, though, is that it means everything to me. And it is absolutely something that I am going to put 100% back into this program and being able to do this. That it means everything to me. I'm like, you guys are going to make me cry. Stop. Like, please don't. But I would do this work. We're currently doing this work for free. Still. Well, now, not today. You guys have been so generous. But you know what I mean? I'd do it for free. I would, because, it's too important. It's too important. And also, it's our country. And so that's what we have to do, you know? I can't thank you enough. I'm like, well, my mom will be so excited. I'm gonna be like, Mom, guess what? I could go get my new webcam. You know, she wanted me to be very responsible. Of course, I am responsible. Of course. Now I get to get a new webcam. Thank you, Mrs. Davis. I love you so much. That's so kind. And hello to Sparrow. You guys are just the best. Oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. Let me try to make sure that I'm communicating all the information correctly. I just am, you know, you guys are too wonderful. Anyway, thank you. So I did also want to say specifically the flight profile that happened on the day of the actual event. I think that it's noteworthy and I want us to drill down on it because I think it's very relevant. Now, you guys know, I know that I'm not saying this to anybody for the first time, but you know that it flew right over UVU about 2 hours and some change before the actual big boom, right? I've been thinking about, so when exactly would that have happened, or when is it that they would have, if they were dropping off drones, when would they have been doing that? Well, something that, as I was looking into the jets themselves, something that their goal is, that they have as a, as a noted goal, is to have it so that the drones would be air launched and deployed from a height of 41,000 feet. That's basically cruising altitude for a jet of that size. So they're like up at the tippy top. Now, when we think about the kind of drone that John was mentioning specifically, which is that Bird of Prey by Elbit Systems, the hard part where I get stuck is that that is not the sort of drone that can survive at 41,000 feet. It would have to be, I guess, either contained within a mothership, something closer to like a Predator drone, or a similar idea kind of drone. But that height that's cruising altitude. So if you guys, when you're on the plane and finally you're all the way up at the top, you're way above the cloud layer, that is where those drones are supposed to be launched from. The lowest that they generally are launched from is 38-ish thousand feet. That's still very high. That's still really high. What occurred to me is that because we were in September during this situation, we know that they were still in the testing phase. It's only this year, guys, that they have actually gotten to a point where they are feeling like they've tested pretty much the whole system through. And then that way they have not had to continue to make modifications. But it occurred to me that on the way back on the way into the event, they very specifically level off at 38,000 feet. It is directly above the Bird River Wildlife Refuge. Now, for all of my, all of my internet along people, you guys can see it. I can pull it up on the screen. Do you guys want me to? I can. I totally can. Let me do it really quick. Give me 1 sec. We're going to computer really quick, but I think it's important. And I think that it provides really good information that is relevant enough that I want us to just take a quick moment to do that. Thank you guys for bearing with me. That's why I'm glad we went early today, because otherwise I'd be like, and we don't want to miss Candace. As you guys know, I do not believe in making anybody choose. So the minute that we get a notification from our darling Prego, then we'll be wrapping it up here, and I will not be making you guys go down to the wire this time. That was not fair. I'm sorry, but we had so much to go over. Okay, let me share this tab. Hold, please. Oh my gosh, I wonder if you guys can see me or if it's totally blinking right now. I hope not. Let me see. Okay, let's try this. Nope. Yep, there it is. Okay, thanks guys. So this is a live look. So I'm in ADSB. As you guys know, if I touch it too much, it's going to freeze everything. So we're going to do our best, but we're only going to look for a second. So as you guys can see, we're looking at adsbexchange.com. And what we're looking at is the flight profile of our AXEL10. Okay, you can see right up here. And that's going to be the Hades jet, right? LaSalle Aviation, that's just who it's registered to. U.S. Army, you can see right there. And then this is going to be 9/10/2025. Now, I'm like, oh my gosh, I bet it's blinking so bad, but that's okay. Because now I probably can afford to get a better camera. Yay. So this is a flight pathway. The reason that I have all of these numbers on here, all this information on here, is because what that lets us do is that lets us see exactly what their altitude, how high they were flying, and their speed was. That is really important, in my opinion, because, like I said, the ceiling for where they were launching drones at that time was 38,000 feet. Now, I thought, okay, you know what's noteworthy is on their way in that morning when they were flying around and, over passing overhead a few hours before, you guys can see that they're at 38,000 feet, and right where they start to kind of see how they descend a little bit, but they really, really kind of level off. Well, this right here is it's called Bear River. Oh my gosh, I apologize. Not me trying to use little, just letters and stuff like that, but it's Bear River Bird Refuge. It's a migratory bird refuge. When I went through to take a look at what that actual location looks like, I thought to myself, that looks like potentially, to me anyway, the sort of place where if I wanted to launch drones, that's where I'd do it. So let me show you guys what it looks like. Bear River Bird Refuge. Fascinating. Let me switch to the right tab. Okay. So I thought this picture, maybe this is a good one. Can you guys see that? So that is the location where they would have launched the drones from. So if that's what we were seeing, you can imagine that the idea of launching drones, this is the sort of thing that if they saw, if you and I are just happening to look up in the sky, it seems to me that it's probably noteworthy that they were off in the middle of nowhere a little bit, right at the time that would have happened. So as you can imagine, if they were going to launch the drones out of the actual jet itself, and they're like in the middle of a city, or if it was when they were 200 feet above the water doing these crazy maneuvers, think about that for a second, guys. You and I would just be looking at them. We'd be making eye contact with the pilot. This person was so slow and low to the ground that basically, we would have been avoiding eye contact while those drones were being launched. For me, my thought is that it does not make sense to me that they would have done anything lower than this is where they seem to always be following the same profile, that 38,000 feet. And the idea that this particular location really does make sense for the kind of privacy that would really, really be of high value during an operation like this. Also, there's nothing to say that they thought that there was going to be perfect functionality. We do know that military testing and training is a complicated process, to say the least. We know, if the microphone theory is correct, then clearly a lot of this stuff is not being fully tested all the way through. So I definitely can understand them wanting it to be very clandestine, just in case they needed to either abandon that or if something went wrong. You don't want a drone falling out of the sky in a neighborhood. You don't want that regardless, but certainly if it's an operation that you're trying to keep secret. The last piece of information about the place that those jets were at and the amount that they had already been completed at the time of September 10th, something that I thought was noteworthy was I was taking a look into the actual testing and training phases about about previous high level Army and Air Force programs. My best guess, to be honest, and this is me inferring, to be very clear, I know Andrew Wilson will not be happy about that, but I did want to make sure that I make note of the fact that I'm not saying this as though it is like I'm stating with 100% certainty. It's just that it's an important piece of information and an important piece of context. Oh my gosh, Andy. Oh, guys, we are in excellent company right now. Andy Liu, genius, amazing, brave researcher. He's here. Say hi to Andy, please. He was on Stu yesterday. And he does such an excellent job of looking into the details. You guys, he's the one who found out that the actual cell towers, the exact cell towers where the St. George Police Station would have, had Tyler Robinson in their midst at the time, that's exactly where that jet flew over the next day in St. George. I'm like, it stops being coincidence. So Andy, thank you for being here. And guys, please say hi to Andy and check out his Substack. He has Substack and it's really good. And so he puts all of the information, like for my fellow aviation nerds and anybody who's into that sort of thing, like radio, like guys, also it's not just for nerds, okay? But for those of us who are, I'm like, yes, this is an amazing resource. So absolutely. Yes, we love Andy. He's a genius. What can we do? We're very lucky to know him. So what I was also going to mention is the fact that if it was that they were actually deploying the drones from the jets, to me, what makes the most sense is that they would have deployed them likely in this area or on the way in. Keep in mind the kind of drones that we are seeing evidence of. Those all have a loitering time of several hours. That means that it's not as though those jets were going to run out of gas or run out of battery within that time frame. They have plenty of time. Those drones are generally launched from about 38,000 feet, and then they're sent off to loiter. They would have had hours and hours and hours to do that. And they would have had the battery for it, no problem. However, something to consider is that in the timeline, when we're looking at testing and we're looking at training for this kind of program like Hades, they definitely went through a period of time prior to launching the drones where they just connected to them. What that means is that the drones themselves would have been ground launched. You guys have seen a ground launch for a drone before, right? I hope I'm not giving anybody like a brand new piece of information, but that is the sort of thing where actual personnel would go and launch the drone from the ground, and then the aircraft's job is to link to the drone that's now flying around. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Because if you can imagine, it is not the sort of thing that you would want to test if you have good connectivity, good capability. You don't want to test that at 38,000 feet, right? So a lot of what this normal testing and training system focuses on is making sure that they already kind of, know what to expect by the time they move into the next phase. So you're not going to be like, here, deploy drones. Let's hope that they work, right? They had to go through a long period of time where the drone would, be launched from the ground, and then they would connect to it and control it from the aircraft. And to me, that's what makes the most sense, especially when I was thinking about the fact that we did not see the pods, we did not see the radome. That's where I'm at with the whole thing. I do think that realistically, that doesn't mean that the drones were not in use, but it doesn't mean that they were either. So that's a loose end. And I just wanted to clarify that because I do think, I find it very compelling, the drones that were there. So things to think about. Okay, guys. Now, I did want to show you guys next the Google Trends. Because of course, right. What choice do we have? Here's the thing. When I am looking into information, I find that pairing the Google Trends with the aviation data, that has helped me, I think, more than probably any other process as far as determining what I think is more and less likely. For the actual plane to have borne relevance, we can tell that that is very likely true based on the fact that it was meeting up with Sam 702 at Fort Bliss, probably, and also there twice that day, at Provo the next day. And also scrambled, flying I think they were flying at Mach 1. They literally risked the entire airframe to make it to the St. George police station to be there when Tyler Robinson turned himself in. That jet in particular, radome or no, drones or no, regardless, that jet does have the capability to do things like going into someone's text messages and changing them. And that's why I think it's so relevant, guys. Let me see here. Oh, thank you, Critter. I'm oh my gosh, I can't wait to get to the super chats, but now the chat is moving so fast that I don't know how to keep up with it. Okay. I'm trying my best, but I think we will. I'm what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to save them. I'm gonna save the supers for the end because if I click too much, then you guys know we get the black screen of death. So, but I am trying to keep up with it. I'm trying to get better about that. I don't know how some of these guys do it. It's so impressive. I'm not that good at it yet. So anyway, I did want to also mention the fact that when we look at the procurement pipeline for a program like the Hades program, we have to look at the individuals who are both government officials as well as private corporate executives. So here's what I did. I started out with taking a look at who the individual was that was particularly in charge of the Hades program. That's a man named Andrew Evans. He is the director of the Department of the Army's G2 intelligence. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look him up. We're going to look up, actually, let me share this, and then that will make it probably easier. You guys can just go along with me and do it. Let's try that. Like, wish me luck, guys. Okay. Does that work? Can you guys see me okay? Is everything fine? Obviously, we're interneting very much today. We're trying. Okay. If you guys can see everything okay, then just give me a little thumbs up in the chat if you don't mind terribly. Okay. I'm like crossing my fingers that people can see. Is that okay? For some reason, it seems to not get as glitchy when I have it in this little small. I'm pointing the wrong direction. Okay. I'm mirrored. Sorry, guys. We'll get there. Okay. It seems to not glitch out nearly as much when I do it this way, so I'm very hopeful. Cross your fingers for us, guys. Let's get into it. Now, when we look at Andrew Evans, for example, he is the person, there he is, this gentleman here. I hope that I am, nope, can't do it. Darn, that's okay. Can you guys see him okay? This guy right here? Okay. So Andrew Evans, he's a gentleman in the image, and he is the person who is in charge of this program. So he is the director of the Department of the Army's G2 Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance Task Force. What that is the ISR task force, okay? So when we think of ISR, that's recon. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So Andrew is the program director for that system. Once I had that information, and I verified that through various articles, taking a look, he is a spokesperson, he comes out, he has the conversations, he does all that good stuff. Once I noticed that Andrew Evans seemed to be the person, so if we're looking for who it would be that would potentially have the keys, he's the boss of that entire program. He is someone who, in my estimation, would be the person responsible for ordering a mission like that, which is why I thought that it was so noteworthy that starting in, let's see what days it says, August 7th. So starting in August of 2025, all of a sudden, someone who is in the area for Banana got really, really interested in Andrew. Now, the reason why I think that this is, particularly compelling is because this represents what I would consider to be a data cluster. You guys know data clusters to me bear the most relevance just in the way that I'm comparing information. Because if you think about it, for example, say that you see people, say that it's the Super Bowl, okay? Say it's the Super Bowl and it's the, I don't know, the Cowboys versus the Patriots. Okay. So I'm like, are the Cowboys in the NFC? Yeah, they are, right? They are. Okay, yeah, so this is a fine comparison. So anyway, say that it's Super Bowl week, and all of a sudden you see that in and around Dallas, Texas, people start to Google Mike Vrabel, Keon Coleman, right? Like, okay, the coach of the Patriots, the quarterback of the Patriots, the receivers for the Patriots. All of a sudden, you're seeing that being Googled more and more and more. Well, what you know already is that we're looking at one of the teams that's in the Super Bowl, and they're Googling all the players. That would make sense. As soon as I found out like who the team is that will be playing, of course you're going to look and say, huh. And then you start to see these searches appear more and more. Now, if you can contextualize that and say, okay, Super Bowl week, and one of those teams is playing, boom, we already know, that makes perfect sense. That is what I'm saying by reviewing the importance of data clusters. Now, to me, it would make sense for this to be representative of an increased interest in the person who's in charge of the ISR task force. That's interesting. That's particularly interesting because of this article that came out on August the 8th. Let me see here. Here it is. Okay, hold please one more time. Oh, actually, I'll show you this first one first. Oh my gosh, I'm so clicking everywhere right now. Hold please. No, not that one. Oh, all these articles look the same. Thankfully, I have money for the whole jar. You guys are incredible. You guys are literally the best. I'm trying to figure out which article it is. They're all labeled SNC. So, of course, I'm sitting here going, which one was it? Which one was it? Here we go. Yay. Okay. We got it. Now, this article was of particular relevance to me. I'm like, I hope you guys can see it. Because what this is this is a major blow for our Hades program. As you can see, this says the Army may have planned Hades by from 12 to 6. The quote underneath it says, "This is very early in the process. My guidance to my staff is nobody really overreact to this global transformation. We must transform," says ISR Task Force Director Andrew Owens. Okay, so basically, the plan was for them to get their entire program cut in half. That is a real problem. And it's a real problem considering the fact that this program really just started in, November? And by May, you guys are on the ropes. You guys are literally on the ropes by the time we're in May. Now, I don't know if that means that the actual system, maybe they were just revising where the priorities were for the spend. But if you can imagine, that's not good. He said, nobody overreact. I'm picturing Mr. Owens, the guy whose face we just saw, the guy who was getting Googled. In May, he was saying, nobody panic. Guys, it's fine. Think Michael Scott, right? And he's saying, nobody panic. Okay. This is a huge blow, though, to a program like that, because if you think about the cost and you think about the overhead and you think about the spend, we are not talking about them buying tons and tons and tons of drones, right? This is like only a few of the items. Each item is incredibly expensive. Each individual jet is incredibly expensive. If you get an order like that cut in half, that's going to mess the whole thing up. You're really in trouble, right? Now, at this point, who knows what you guys are even going to do? Is the program going to survive at all? It's a brand new baby program. It just started a few months ago. I get the feeling that they had questions. Are we even going to be able to get this thing off the ground? So they're in big trouble in May. Now, I find it noteworthy that we did not see any of these Google searches happening in May. We are looking at the image searches from the Fort Banana area for our friend, Mr. Owens. Now, I made a point to go through and name him in different ways that are all not exclusive to the military, but, the ways that your standard, military member would refer to him. They would call him Lieutenant Colonel. They would call him, I'm like the specific ways. So Lieutenant Colonel Owens, ISRTF. Lieutenant Colonel Owens, DAISR. That's the Director of Army ISR, right? You and I, civilians, we're not going to call him that. We're just not. When I just went to look him up, right? What am I looking him up by? Andrew Owens, right? G2. There's a lot of different ways. And so for me, that bears relevance given the fact that, again, it's not as though a civilian could not Google him this way, but it feels a little bit less likely. And nobody looked at him right over there in Fort Banana until August. Well, what else happened in August? What else is it that we saw happen in August? Well, in August, an article came out on August 8th from the Potomac Officers Club. This is a very well-regarded news source in our military. All of a sudden, everything got back on track. Everything got back on track. Hey, Shades, my aviation friend. Yay. Thank you so much. Everything somehow just got back on track. Isn't that impressive? Isn't that incredible? Wow. Now, I don't know exactly what happened, but all of a sudden, an article from a well-respected source comes out that says, never mind, we were just kidding about having the order. Like, no, you guys are good. Now, I don't know what it is that got them back on track. I have my suspicions, especially given the fact that it was not just Andrew Evans who they were looking at. I thought to myself, okay, so they're maybe looking at Andrew Evans. He's kind of the, he's the leader, but I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he could have been transferring there. I mean, I always try to give as many excuses for people as I can. You guys know that. So I started to look at the other folks that are also a part of this program, and wouldn't you know it? When I took a look at the PEO, who's a man named Jeff Jablonsky, at the time, he was the PEO of that system. He has since moved into the private sector. Fascinating, in my opinion. They get out when they're in trouble. And so he just recently got out of being part of the actual, like a specific lieutenant colonel in this program. And now all of a sudden he's private sector. It's interesting. Just a little data point. But if you think about the fact that they were looking at this man, Jeff Jablonsky, he's the Hades program lead. And his job is within the PEO. Now, for my civvies, for my civilians, I don't know if you guys are going to know, and PEO is basically, do I need to make the screen larger? I'm sorry, eyes wide open. It's because when I was doing that, for some reason, it makes my thing glitch more. And so I thought, oh, hey, Tornado Alley, hello. I thought that maybe it would be more helpful if we did it this way so that I don't glitch as much. But I don't know if it's that you guys are not able to see. Okay, let's try it. You're right. It's too important of information. Let me try it this way. All right, cross your fingers for us. Can you see it okay? Like, chat, if you can tell me if you guys can see it all right. Try to make it even bigger. Can you see it better now? Okay, good. So once I had seen that Andrew Evans was being searched as the, ISR task force. So he is the person who is like the overall person who's in charge of the whole ISR jet program. Then I took a look at Mr. Jablonsky. Jeff Jablonsky, he is the PEO that specifically is in charge of Hades. So while Andrew Evans is in charge of like all the different pieces, right? Think of like the CEO, right? Andrew Evans is like the CEO. Whereas Mr. Jablonsky would be more like the CFO, right? Someone who's just in charge of the finances. Like it's like a specific thing. Well, Jeff Jablonsky is just in charge of the Hades program. That's his thing, right? So he is the Hades program lead within the PEO. That's why, for me, it felt very relevant that this person was being looked at with more and more frequency at the same time that we knew our Mr. Evans was. Now, I'm like, guys, I don't know if you were able to see this. I hope that you were. But if you guys recall, that article that we first saw come out about the fact that they were going to cut that program in half and all those people's entire program was at risk, Mr. Jablonsky's specifically, that came out on May 15th. And then all of a sudden, on May 21st, isn't that interesting? Someone at Fort Banana started to take a look into Lieutenant Colonel Jablonsky. Now, this is me speculating, just to be totally clear. But what makes the most sense to me when I see this is they got the news that the program was in danger of being cut. And so at that time, Mr. Jablonsky started to go and see if there was any way that they could keep the program afloat. And then on May 21st, look at that, he ends up at Fort Banana. And he is being searched with more and more frequency the closer we get to August. Here in August, this is the same time frame. Now, I don't know what exactly was taking place all within this, but they were looking at, this is the same man, the ways that I'm looking at him are PEO Jablonsky, Hades LTC Jablonsky, ISR TF LTC, we're looking very specifically at his military titles and the ways that I would assume that an individual who was there on post just needed to either know who he was, know how to salute him, know how to escort him, et cetera, kind of our usual thing. My thought was, okay, this certainly fits with that. I thought that was noteworthy. So once I had identified the fact that it would appear as though both of those individuals who are very much relevant to this within that little May to August timeframe were of interest to someone there, I thought, you know what? I need to keep looking a little bit. And wouldn't you know it, guys, I'm like, honestly, at this point, I don't even know. I'm like, I'm tired of finding all this stuff, guys. Okay. You see this one? Tell me it's big enough. I hope so. Can you guys see this one okay? Okay, good. I think so. Isn't that something? Yes, exactly. Exactly. Spies, lies, and bad guys. So, guys, you know who this is? Oh my gosh, this drives me about crazy. Okay. So I said to myself, okay, well, who else is involved in this Hades program? Who else specifically? Who would have the keys? Who are the individuals? Well, wouldn't you know it? We have, first off, right here, we have Josh Walsh, SNC. That is the VP of programs. Remember, this is exhibit. Remember when we were talking about Pimp My Ride? Josh Walsh's exhibit. He is the guy who is the corporate executive who comes to Pimp Your Ride. Like, he is the Sierra Nevada Corporation guy. Okay. So they were looking at him. Then, if we scooch up to our August timeframe, which is when we know already that there was definitely an increase in the interest in it, in this program, well, wouldn't you know it? They are looking at Hades LTC Jablonsky. They are looking at Major General Wally Rugen. That is the DAMO-AV. So, like, guys, like I'm telling you, like these are not names or ways that you and I would Google these people. Like, we're not going to call him the DAMO AV. But what that is the, let's see, he's the like boss of Army Aviation. He's a major general. Isn't that interesting? So I thought to myself, well, okay, he is the aviation boss. He's the plane guy. So, you know, he's the guy who brings in the Nissan Altima and Josh Walsh's exhibit in this example. Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay. Now, in addition to them, hold please. Try to see if we can. Oh my gosh, you guys, I think, fingers crossed, we might be able to do this without getting the whole system taken down. Okay. Next up, we have ISRTF Lieutenant Colonel Evans. They were looking at him too. Right? We know that he's our big boss of the entire program. Then we have, I'm like, see, the likelihood of this being random, it just decreases and decreases and decreases. Look at this one, you guys. This is on August 26th, which for me has always stood out as a date that felt very relevant to this entire case. I think that there was a lot of planning that happened on that day. I'm not saying that these people were involved with that planning. I'm not saying that. But I think that it's a relevant enough day that their potential presence on Fort Banana makes sense to me from my perspective. Now, on that day, someone was looking up PEOIEWS Mixon. Like, that's what I'm saying, guys, is that this is not like, can anyone tell me what that stands for? Because I couldn't even, I had to sit there and be like, wait a second, wait a minute. What is it? You know, what does that even stand for? He is the special assistant. Lawrence Mixon, he's a special assistant to the PEO for intel, electronic warfare, and sensors. So, like, it is such a specific and unique title that I find it less likely that is just a civilian who's happening to be Googling that way. I hope that makes sense. And they're looking at him at the exact same time that they're looking at Mr. Walsh. They're looking up exhibit. And they're looking up like the West Coast Customs people. And they are looking at like the manager and the assistant manager of West Coast Customs and the owner of West Coast Customs. And like, you know, and they brought in the Nissan. So when I'm saying that, it feels to me like it's just, at this point, I feel as though I would be gaslighting myself if I didn't think it was relevant. It would be gaslighting to say that this is irrelevant. It's relevant, in my opinion, especially given the fact that on that day, day right beforehand, they were looking at Mr. Andrew Evans too on September 6th. And what have we seen kind of continually? We have seen the individuals that may or may not have been present for the Fort Banana demonstration. Well, wouldn't you know it? That would be Andrew Evans would be the guy that they would be demonstrating to. Does that make sense? I hope it does, because that would be the individual that would be there to witness the demonstration. Now, I'm not saying that necessarily that the jet, who knows? Who knows? In fairness, who knows? I'm not saying that the jet overflew and then linked up with the thing, but potentially it's possible, especially given the fact that that Hades jet, not only did it fly near enough for connectivity to Fort Banana on the meeting day, but it also flew on to Fort Bliss, where SAM 702 went right after. So you guys see what I'm saying about the fact that like these are too many coincidences for me to feel comfortable saying I'm sure it's nothing. Just so you guys know, I mean, we're tracking a lot of them. We're looking at a lot of them, a lot of jets, and there's a lot that I'm like, okay, until I really feel comfortable saying that this is a part of this story, I just don't talk about them, because I'm like, well, I know this tail number and that's kind of weird and blah, blah, blah. It's only once it's at the point now where I'm like, it would be gaslighting to say that there's no relevance. They're there the day before. They fly the geofencing route the day before. They do the flyover twice on the day of. They fly over the arrest down to the minute and at a low enough profile and the correct rate of speed where they would have been able to actually link in to the cell phone of Tyler Robinson. And that's after flying so fast to get there. Like imagine, like they flew from Ontario, Canada, or California, excuse me. They flew from Ontario, California to St. George. They flew at like lights and sirens speed. Does that make sense? Like, when a police car is like lights and sirens or an ambulance, they were flying like lights and sirens. And then all of a sudden, what do? They loiter around and wait for Tyler Robinson. That's what it sure looks like to me. Now, again, that's speculation, but it's genuinely my best guess, especially given the fact that we kind of know in the background. What do we know? Well, we know it doesn't really seem as though they were expecting for Tyler to go on and actually turn himself in. That feels unlikely to me. I don't think that they knew. I don't think that they were planning for him to. And I think that him going to Panguitch, it would make sense, in my opinion, why they're freaking out so much about that Panguitch receipt. And Lord bless Diligent Denizen for finding it. Because if you think about it, if he was in Panguitch, then the story doesn't add up. So he goes over to his, yes, exactly, Kathy. Oh, I'm so thrilled to see you here. Kathy is one of my I have so many favorites, but she's absolutely one of them. It was so fun to talk to her the other day. So I'm so glad she's here. But she brings up a very good point that I think that I just want us to touch on very briefly. I love this comment. Thank you for making it. I appreciate it. And the reason I love it is because realistically, it emphasizes to us how much they feared Tyler Robinson walking into that police station. I believe personally that was not part of the plan. I do not believe that they expected for him to go and spend the night at his grandma's house, which it sounds like he did. I do not believe that they expected him to go to that steakhouse, which he did. And I do not expect that they expected for him to walk into that police station in St. George. And once they heard, I mean, he could have turned his phone on, speculative, but he could have turned his phone on and they said, uh-oh, we got him. Gentlemen, get up there. And then all of a sudden, they fly lights and sirens up there and then loiter around. It is also potentially possible that the time frame of him actually turning himself in versus surrendering his phone versus being Mirandized, we know that that's a complex system. And the actual details of the minutes from when he walked into the police station to when those texts were sent, we don't have clarity on that. In my opinion, it's still a little bit of an open question. But that question really, it matters a lot less to me, that timing, when I consider the fact that there happened to be a plane overhead at the exact moment. It makes me feel like I do not genuinely believe that he wrote those text messages. That is my honest feeling. I don't believe it. Like, I don't find it compelling, especially given the fact that, like, guys, I thought initially that it might have been Pegasus who implanted that information onto his phone. I thought that it could have been, overseas, our greatest ally, et cetera, et cetera. But it occurred to me as well that if Tyler had like a MacBook or a tablet at home, all he needed to do was be logged into it. You can send a text message from your laptop to a cell phone, and it looks as though it came from another cell phone. That's just the easiest thing in the world, you know? So for me, I'm like, I don't even know if the plane had to do it. Or they could have just logged into his Apple account. It's all the kind of stuff that they can do. Great question, Tara. Let me try to answer this one. So Tara from NY asks, are you in the military? I am not. No. I did work for a while as a contractor onto a military hospital. And a lot of my job was to teach folks about operational security. That has led me to feeling like, you know what, I love our troops. I hate the way that they're being run. My family is active in former service. And so I have a great deal of respect for our service members, our former service members. And I think that they are being just led so poorly. I wish that Pete Hegseth would just go, and I guess he's running for president now. Neat. I'm like, go on your presidential tour, and can we have some serious people back in the Pentagon? I worry about it. So anyway, it has allowed me to understand how stuff works, and also, unfortunately, where there tend to be a lot of common pitfalls. But no, I'm not military. Never been to Fort Huachuca. Promise. I hadn't even heard of it, really. I don't think I'd ever even heard the name. But anyway, so it's just kind of given me a unique perspective. My background's in medicine. And let's see here. So what I wanted to do was oh, wait, do I have one more group of people to look at? I don't think so. I'm going to save that one for tomorrow, guys. We found a link to potentially to 9/11. Oh, gosh. I'm going to get this stream pulled. I have to figure out how I'm going to say this stuff without getting in too much trouble. Found a link. It's not great. I got to figure out how I'm going to say it first. Okay. And one last thing. So on August 8th, it would appear that Sierra Nevada exhibit and West Coast Customs had kind of righted the ship, right? Now, all of a sudden, they were no longer in direct danger of having their program ended. And I found it fascinating that just in January, so several months ago, but in January, all of a sudden, the military was so enthused with this program that they actually went and told them to buy an extra one. Hold on, I'll show it to you guys, because I do think that these little articles are relevant. Hold, please. Share this tab. We are getting better. Yay. Let me try this one. There we go. Okay. So this press release, this was put out by Sierra Nevada themselves. And they said, here you go. Go buy a fourth one. There you go. We love what you guys are doing. See, the thing that I keep thinking about, guys, it's always like, wow, they really turned it around. Gosh. They really turned it around. How fortunate. How lucky. And when I start to see stuff like that, that looks just like corporate maneuverings, I'm like, guys, I don't know. My OGs in here know that my feeling is we are in the worst episode of Succession ever. We are in the worst episode of Succession ever. A lot of this stuff is the kind of backbiting and corporate espionage that you see in an episode of Succession. I genuinely feel that way. And so, wow, look at that. It all worked out for old West Coast Customs, didn't it? They went from being on the brink of collapse. All of a sudden, get yourself a spare one. You guys are doing such a good job. The thing that I have been thinking about, I've been rolling around in my mind and having in my working theory for a long time, is that even if those jets were just there to just do reconnaissance, that kind of reconnaissance, it's worth its weight in gold. Having the kind of information where you can actually go and see, oh, this is how Americans react to an event like that. Yeah, it makes me sad just to think about it, guys. But think about that for a second. It is absolutely possible that, I'm like, this is speculative. Please, one more pure spec. I'm like, I should just make a pure spec podcast is what I should do, because sometimes, but for me anyway, speculation a little bit. is okay, because how else are we going to come up with different theories and then test them? For me, what I like to do is I'm okay with speculation, but never past the point of the truth. So if anything comes up that makes me think, then that's not going to work, I am never going to push a theory or a hypothesis past that point. I'm doing it like rule out, ruling stuff out as quickly as I can and as much as I can. But that's a process that takes time. But it feels to me as though it is kind of an ethical way of conducting an investigation. So, pure spec. We have seen in other places how much they value specific information on Americans and on other populations. If you wanted to know how exactly the American public would react to an event like that, then in order to generate the actual data, that's incredibly complicated. See, for example, fortunately, in this country, we don't have to deal with such things. We are so lucky here. So, to know how Americans would react at an event like that, they would pay a lot of money for that. They'd pay a lot of money to know how many Americans called 911, how many Americans pulled out their cell phones, how many Americans immediately left the scene, how many Americans, attempted to call a loved one, how many Americans remained so that a secondary device or something could have been utilized as soon as emergency responders came on scene. How did the police respond? How did the FBI respond? How was the scene cordoned off? How quickly was the scene cordoned off? How many officers responded to the scene? How many individuals are still within the area that a secondary device, like something that our greatest ally would do for like a double, how many would still be there? Where did they go? Did they huddle in place? Did they shelter in place? Did they go inside? Did they go outside? See, when I'm thinking about the ways that, unfortunately, the defense industry in general conducts itself, that's the kind of money that a contractor like that might get an entire program revived for. It makes me so sad to think about, you guys. I'm sorry to say it, but that's the sort of information that, like, Jeffrey Einstein could have sold for another 1 million visas. So think about that. Like, just keep it in the back of your mind. Oh, thank goodness, I can be happy now. Allie's here. Hi, Allie. Oh my gosh. You guys, everyone, gosh, we are so blessed today. I'm so excited today. Today is wonderful. I feel like I'm getting like the top tier, like, oh my goodness, of the investigative research community. I'm seeing Andy Liu. I got to talk to Stu. I have Allie here. I got to listen to John Cullen. Like, oh my gosh, this is just, it's just the absolute top tier. I am in such excellent company, and I cannot thank you guys for allowing me to be around these individuals. Allie, thank you for being here. I saw Tornado Allie in here. It's amazing. I'm like, I promise you guys, get us all in one room for one afternoon. We'd solve this entire thing. So, everyone say hi to Allie, please. Please, because she's wonderful. And she and I are, I hope, going to do a show together pretty soon, because I love putting my head together with other really, really smart cookies. That's my very favorite thing. So sometimes we'll sit there and we'll look into stuff. Allie's been looking at the foreign connections lately, guys. They're relevant. Speaking of the relevance of the foreign connections, so think about this. If France, Korea, China, an ally or enemy wanted to know how Americans would react to a event like that, those jets just collected all that data. That is really what I think. It also could have been that they were responsible for things like making it so that that there was electronic interference so that people's phones wouldn't work. It also could be things like making sure that they like geofencing, like they hoovered up all the data, or they could have actually been responsible for, I don't know, putting a virus into all those people's phones or something. There's a lot of stuff that they can do besides the drone thing. So what I've been trying to think about potentially what the deal was with the drones. My guess is that if those drones were in play, then I doubt that they were launched from the jet itself. I doubt it, just given, if Blake Bednars' footage is true, and so, if I'm face valuing that, okay. But then maybe the actual jet didn't launch the drones. However, I would still say it feels very likely to me that they just did a data link with them. So they pull up over that little wildlife refuge, and then they say, "Cool. Oh, hey, I noticed you got some nice drones here, and it just links the systems." That is just that's standard. That's kind of standard stuff. And I do believe that is most likely that's like the most likely thing. So I don't think, for me, the idea that launching them, that's like pretty low on my list as far as importance. What I can say is that they were perfectly capable of doing that, and that's kind of where they were at in the testing phase. So that's what makes most sense to me. And then the drones did whatever it is that they did. Now, you guys know, my OGs know, I have done a lot of episodes on the drones. I think, to me, I don't think personally that I saw something that looks like an Elbit bird of prey. That's not what I think that I saw, but I'm not ruling it out. Those drones could have been very, very useful, even if they did not fire a shot. Because again, all of the stuff that we're talking about, the jet could have done the geofence. The drones can do it too. The jet can do the actual blocking of people's phones. The drones can do that too. The only kind of question I have is that my personal belief, since I am, currently I'm a fan of the microphone theory. For me, it's what makes the most sense. But when I consider the fact that I don't know for sure if the remote trigger or the remote detonation or the remote firing system that I believe that we saw was there, I don't know that the jet could have done that. I don't know. That's just the truth. I don't know that it could have. I have not seen, so I've been, you guys know, I've been looking into the jet itself. I don't know that I've seen. So think of it like this. The jet is like a major mothership, right? It is it's 41,000 feet in the air. I mean, it went down for a second, but when at the time of the actual boom, it was like 41,000 feet, maybe 39,000, right up there. It's far away. When you think about data connectivity, it would be very hard to be able to just press the button and have the microphone do a thing. What it has always felt like makes the most sense to me is the idea that they would have had the jet, which is far away, right? It's up there and sitting in Kalispell at the time, it's pretty far away, and that the jet is connected to the drone. And then the drone would be the thing that would actually make the thing happen. And it's pretty easy for a drone like that to trigger the sound of a gunshot and a microphone at the same time. That is all technology that we have. We've had it for maybe 7-8 years. The Greatest Ally has had it for 7-8 years. They've all had it for a really long time. So that's kind of what I'm saying, guys, is I feel like there had to be kind of a layer in between. But just to make sure that it was functioning correctly, because otherwise the problem is the jet wasn't in view of the scenario. So yes, they could have pressed a button up there on the jet and then the boom would have happened, but how would they have timed it? I don't know that they could have. I do not know that they could have. They needed to have visual confirmation. And so I would think that the easiest way would be to just have a little drone that they were in control of. And the drone itself, just like, we see, unfortunately, in the Cousin War and everything like that, that drone would just be close enough to see. And then you can press a button from up there. And now you get the boom at the exact right time with the simultaneous sound of a rifle with the simultaneous boom on the correct microphone. That's very normal military stuff, sadly. Okay, let me make sure that I'm not missing anything. Hi, Flamingo Mafia. I think that I should make sure that I read my supers. And then I want to make sure I don't miss any good questions. Oh, yes. So, great point. I love seeing all my peeps in here. Great point, Waffles. So, if Charlie cut them off, he cut off their clandestino activities. Exactly. Like I said, my real feeling is that there's a lot of money involved with this. There's defense contracts, and there's also potentially anything that Turning Point may or may not have been up to. those people are all sitting at the same tables. They're all attending the same events. They all know each other. They work together. They coordinate together. And I still believe that there is compelling evidence that Turning Point was up to something. I still very much believe that. Again, I've been trying to think of what would get everybody to the table. That's been, motive has been important. I can't think of a better motive for Turning Point than the potential of Air Mima. Not saying that's what happened, but boy, I really hope that it's not. But it makes sense to me, and it makes everything click for me, as far as the preaching, the fundraising, the meetups with Air Mima, and the ways that Mima would accomplish her goals, along with a compelling reason to agree to have Turning Point come to the table, and also why Charlie would have ordered that Doge audit to find out where the money was coming from. I find that really compelling, and it makes me sick to my stomach when I think about it. It's just business. It's like what I think about. I also think that it's very compelling that there could have been an element of the military-industrial complex, as far as their willingness to either look the other way and allow this to happen, or to just benefit purely, or to engage in the cover-up. Yeah. So that's my feeling about that. I hate it. It makes me really sad. I also do believe that Air Mossad, I still believe that's a thing too. And that it's a shuttle, most likely, that it was a shuttle that frequently will take folks back and forth to the Middle East, to this country, so that they can sneak around and do whatever they want to do here without being subject to the kind of scrutiny that foreign nationals probably should be, from the greatest ally. That's my feeling about it. So I did want to make sure that I mentioned that. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are so good. Oh, you guys are so much fun. I've been trying to read this chat better. I've been trying to get good at it, but you guys are so smart, and sometimes they're like longer. Comments. Oh my gosh, and my battery's going to die on my mouse. Okay, gang, we're going to have to go through and get this done. Let me just bang this out, because I didn't, guys, I forgot to charge the mouse. You guys put up with me. You guys put up with me way too much. I'm crazy about all of you. So let's see here. Okay. When I see a great little comment, I always want to, whenever I happen to catch one, I know a lot of people make really amazing comments, and I do not catch all of them. I wish I did. So is this Jacques? Jacques says, various things triggered to happen at the same time, given that a number of peeps turned around to look at the boomstick noise. Maybe there's a hidden speaker. Yes, on the low C for that sound. Absolutely a potential. 100%. Jacques. 100% a potential. So what we do know is that there are drones that are capable of mimicking that sound. I have always found that compelling, but I don't have evidence of that. As well as potentially there could have been another, like, I remember the theory about that there was another shooter and that they had fired from somewhere else. I remember that we talked about that for a little bit, and they fired into the back of the van. I mean, there could have been a real sound of a gunshot. There could have been just the projection of a sound of a gunshot. Either way, I do find it compelling, and I really hope we get to the bottom of it. I'm going to keep working on it. But I think that that's exactly what it is. Various things triggered to happen at the same time. Now, there are a number of systems that are in place that will allow for that simultaneous detonation. The one that I have been focused on in particular is one, I'm like, everyone get your pens out. It's one that's called Fireweaver. I find it to be the best example, personally, of what that sort of remote simultaneous detonation would look like. Basically, think of it like this. When you hit play on this video, right? We know that more than one thing happened. Not only did this video pop up, right, the visual, but then you could hear me. That's the audio. That is a remote multi-token system. Same thing. So basically all it means is, hey, with the press of one button, more than one thing will happen. That's what Fireweaver does. And so Fireweaver specifically is my concern one, because that's like what it was built for. And it's from the greatest ally, of course. And also, just so everybody knows, I'm like, call your congressman, everyone, because guess what? That particular system is one that they have changed into something called Skyweaver, and now it has been bought by Ondas, and it's going to be deployed over America. You guys know I always forget about the Ondas thing. Well, guess what? The name of this system, the name of the actual like computer system that does it, is one that is literally Fireweaver. They just repackaged it and repurposed it for Skyweaver. And by the way, no one forget, lest we forget, Ondas, their new chief of global technology is David Barnea, the leader of Mossad. I'm not kidding. I need to be Googling this stuff. See, why I'm like, oh, that's not great. I don't like the idea of them becoming like they said that they were an American defense company, and now all of a sudden it's David Barnea? You're kidding me. Let me go ahead and read supers now so that I can make sure that we're all out of here on time. And I'm going to go and, you guys, my sister made me dinner last night. She's so sweet. She's a professional chef. I'm spoiled. Oh my goodness. And that means that I have leftovers in my fridge, and that means that I'm going to eat them. And I'm so excited. And I want to do that before Candace is on, because I don't like to, I have to internet at the same time that Candace is on, because she gives us so many clues. And if I have like chicken Alfredo hands, then I'll be really sad. So that's my plan. Let me take a look at supers. Thank you guys for your generosity. I'm overcome. I am, and I'm so grateful. And I'm just so grateful to get to talk about this stuff. So thank you so much. So I wanted to do this. Thank you. I also have now figured out that what the Laughing Disco one looks like. So thank you for that. Oh, Laura, thank you for gifting a membo. You know that I love that so much. Guys, just so everybody knows, I love growing our small potato community. These mean everything to me. Thank you, honey. I appreciate you. Oh, hi, Renee, my sweetheart. Oh my gosh, here's for the bear and jar. I love you so much. Oh my gosh. You are so funny. You can make 10 more bear mistakes. Don't threaten me with a good time, Renee. You do not have to tell me twice, girl. Oh my gosh, it's a lot, right? So thank you. Thank you for adding to the parent fund. I appreciate you. 19 more. You're so cute. Thank you, honey. Keith, hi. Thank you so much. Your research is top tier. I love your videos. You are my Tot Crush Tuesday. That's adorable. That's so cute. Can't wait for the juicy fan. I hope I lived up to expectation, Keith. There's a lot of information to go over. But when, Stu had posed the question of who holds the keys, and I really wanted to try to see if I could do anything to kind of answer that a little bit, what I believe, that is my personal belief. And again, having other folks that I'm investigating with, and having like I said, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. So to get to work with folks like that, like Allie, like Andy, like Stu, John Cullen, and to be able to use the incredible hard work of Baron, Candace, etc., to be able to do that, this is living my dream. And it's also doing something that I can't think of anything more important. So it was just a big statement for someone who's in medicine. I love medicine, I do, but it just feels like our country is what is in need of help right now, more than anything. So thank you, Keith. You are the sweetest. And I hope that I helped answer that question. That means everything to me. Just want to help, Thank you guys so much. You are so smart. Thank you, Eyes Wide Open. So are you. I read your comments all the time. You're amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well, gosh, it's like otherwise my brain gets too bored. So, and I also am just so glad it doesn't have to just be me who's thinking about these things. I'm glad you guys think about it too. Hi, Destroy the Blob. I like your username. Glad you're looking at the plane. If it isn't evident, it was the U.S. president. Mr. de Blob, if I may. It horrifies me to think about that. It really does. I keep trying to excuse it. I don't know why. The hard part for me is I keep thinking to myself, there's no way. And I'm not someone who I'm not a big fan of Dawn. I never have been. But I've always felt, well, he's my president, so therefore. And I think that I still am holding on to that somehow. Now, I will share, I don't know if you happen to catch the episode where we talk specifically about the fact that a few of the vice sectionals, a few of his chief of staff, he was in that Fort Banana search. So again, why am I trying to excuse it, guys? I'm like, I have to meditate on it. I have to pray on it, to be honest with you. I'm not saying that he's innocent in this. Like I said, there's no love lost. But it's something that I have to really think about before I'm willing to say. And I know, but I 1,000,000% can follow your very logical line of reasoning. I just want to make sure that I'm thinking things all the way through, trying to be as fair and ethical about, when somebody goes on the list, Mr. DeBlob. It's tough to get him off of it, to be honest with you. I don't want to put him on the list unless he's supposed to be on the list. You know what I mean? So, but I appreciate it, and it's in there. Hi, Annie Lou. Keep up the good work, Anna. Thank you so much. I loved seeing you with Stu. That was so awesome. And you were with John Cullen. Guys, if you have not had a chance to watch Andy on John Cullen, brilliant. Brilliant. And so, like I said, I am standing on the shoulder of giants. Andy is a genius. He really is. And he's really looked into this very, very, very carefully, meticulously. And I can always appreciate that. So if anyone's interested, his Substack, I believe, is Andy Lou, spelled just like that. See, it's Lou with an E at the end. Everyone remember that in your mind. Otherwise, you might not be able to find it. But he also, yes, and if you didn't catch the episode of Stu from yesterday, go watch it. Oh my God. Because Andy's on there. And they talk about everything in detail. He goes through all of his research, and he's an excellent researcher. And a brave man. So thank you, Andy. Hi, Shannon. I'm hooked on ADSB. Nothing thrills me like this. Welcome, fellow aviation nerd. I love that website. Okay, so quick shout out. I'm like, trust me, this is a free promo for sure. Like, they don't pay me or anything like that. I love this website so much, you guys. It has so much information on it. Now, I know that when you first open the website, you're just like, what on earth? What is this? Why do I see it in it? What it does is it pulls up the map. That map shows you every single plane that's up over like the United States and around the world. So it's like you can't even see the earth. Like, you can't even see it because it's just so this is what I'm going to tell you guys. The easiest way to make it more accessible and make it easier, one, pay the $3 for that. I mean, just a recommendation. Pay the $3 because then you don't get any ads on it, which is a big, makes it so much more usable. And I think it's like $3 a year, maybe it's a year. It might be a monthly. I didn't check. I should check. But it's well worth it if you want to spend any time on it. And then the ads will go away. But whether you get the ads or not, on the top, I'm like, hold please. Let me just show you. Anytime I get to talk about ADSB, we're going to talk about ADSB. So hold on a second. Okay. The biggest recommendation that I can humanly give for this website. I'm like, oh my gosh, watch my stream crash. Okay, guys, let me share this tab. Hold, please. Okay, we are looking right now at ADSB. This is what you guys would see if you opened up the thing. I happen to be close in on Salt Lake City because, where we were looking before. And guys, just so you know, that's not bad. This is a live look. So the closer up you are, the fewer planes that you're going to see. Because we're only looking at a little section of the air. But this is who's over the air in Salt Lake City at this moment. However, the easiest thing on earth to do, even when you come out of it and you're seeing like so many, look at that, guys. Oh, it's going to crash my computer. We can't do that. Okay. I'm doing it slowly. See how many there are, guys? Oh my gosh. Oh, see, now I'm pushing it. The easiest thing that you can do is just hit this little U on the top. You guys see right there? That little U. Can you see that? Oh my gosh, I hope that it didn't die. It didn't. Yes. Okay. All you have to do is hit that little U. And what that's going to do is that's going to pull it down so it only shows military aircraft. And that's like 1/100th That was so slow and dramatic how I just scooched my hair that I did not mean for it to be like that just because my computer is really angry with me. Yay for daring to click on that. So let me close that out. Like I said, the website, it does take a lot. It takes a lot of storage just because it has a lot of data. But you can go and you can pick any plane and you can see every single place that that plane has ever flown and how fast they went and how high they were and how long they were there and what time they did it. And then you can actually go over to the plane itself. And when you click on the plane, then you can click info and you can see who the owner is and where all the stuff that came from is. And the nicest thing about that one is it's a lot harder for them to hide the information. On a couple of the other websites, if you're like a rich and fancy person, then you can just pay the extra money and they will be like, don't worry, Mima. No one has to track you. No one can know where you are. And then they will actually comply with that. For ADSB Exchange, as it currently stands, it's open source. They cannot hide. Sometimes they can say like, oh, we're not going to say like who owns it, right? Sometimes people have it specifically cloaked on that. But because all it is it's like a million people that all have these receivers out there. And so they can't like hide themselves. It is, oh, another clarification point for Mr. Blake Bednars. So over the United States, you would get in huge trouble if you turn your transponder off. That's why they don't. And even if it is a clandestine mission, blah, 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 the only time that they can do that is if there is a specific TFR, that's a total flight restriction for that area, and they specifically are doing it like, it has to be like over the ocean, right? They have to plan ahead for that sort of thing. It doesn't matter if it's a fighter jet. It doesn't matter if it's a one of these bombardiers. They cannot, not over U.S. airspace. We have very strict rules about that because, as you can imagine, we see how many planes there are in the United States. And the trouble becomes if a F-18 or something, God forbid, crashed into a little Cessna that, Gramps is flying, then it's like, they're not even allowed to get close to each other. They can't even get within like a mile of each other. So it would be like, that's not a thing. That's not a thing that we do in this country. Now, overseas, for example, they lie about their airspace all the time, of course. Just kind of how they are. But in the United States, that is a very, very, very strictly regulated deal. So I just don't think that they thought anyone would notice. I mean, I guess, I don't know. It's very bold. And I would think, oh, it's so bold that they can't be related, but they didn't need to fly to Tyler Robinson's arrest. That rules that out for me. That's just me. I'm glad you're having fun on ADSB. Hi to Austin, Texas. Absolutely. Thank you, Critter. Oh my gosh, you are just so sweet. I appreciate you so much. And thank you for this comment. Anna, you rocked it out with Stu this morning. I love it. Amazing information. Go Max. Thanks, Kristen. Oh, you guys, look how lucky I am. I'm just the luckiest. I really am. And like I saw some of my folks from here when I was going on Stu's, and I always get so nervous. Oh my goodness, television. But seeing you guys, I was like, I got this. We got this. TSP is here. We're all here. So it was wonderful. I had a blast. As I always do. He takes great care of me, but I still got nervous. Okay, great question, Runner Doc. Thoughts on, what does it say? What she said to EMP theory. Oh, okay. I think I know what you're saying. We are talking about the EMP theory, and I believe that ADN, was the person who was going to cover that. Guys, I am so sorry. I have not seen the episode yet, but I'm really excited to see it because I am always open to new pieces of information. And again, like I said, my working theory is only my working theory until something is ruled out, so I am always willing to consider additional information. It's on my list. I want to watch that episode. I love ADN. Oh my gosh, she's wonderful. So I'm really looking forward to watching that episode. And I do think, I don't know what they said about it. I don't know what the evidence was. I don't know if it's someone positing a theory. I don't know. Maybe there's very compelling evidence that this is what happened. So I have to watch it. But then I look forward to sharing my thoughts about it because, again, I don't know what happened. I don't. I think that the microphone, we saw it come out, kind of. So I still really, that's kind of the one that I'm partial to the most. It's the one that makes everything click in my mind. but it doesn't mean that there couldn't be another element to it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that episode, and I can't wait. And I'll get back to you on that one. Thank you. Oh, Pablo. Oh my goodness, you are so kind. My other half Lakers fan, my other half here. Thank you so much. Thank you. I will keep working on this. I promise you. Also, Pablo, we're going to have to talk. You heard. Guys, just so everybody knows, just in case anyone's not aware, Jared Kushner's brother is trying to acquire ownership in the Lakers. Pablo, what are we going to do? Just so you know, Mima, she owns the Spurs. Wait, no, not the Spurs. Mavericks? Magic? No, Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks. You know that she owns the Dallas Mavericks? I'm mad about it. This is my Laker for I really do love the Lakers. I'm like, Pablo, what are we gonna do? Ignore it, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Realistically, I'm gonna ignore it until I get excited about NBA again. But thank you very much. I'm gonna keep working on it. It's too important. I don't have a choice. So thank you, and thank you for supporting the work that we're trying to do here. It means everything to me. You're so kind. You guys and your generosity. I don't even know. I'm astounded. I really am. So thank you. I'm thrilled. Okay, let's see this one. Kino, hello, Kino. Okay, should we entertain those special planes using GEWs? Is this about the ADN thing? Is this about the information that ADN was giving? Should we entertain the special planes using DEWs? Well, okay. Well, without knowing totally what we're referring to here, here's my thought. Just the same way that the plane itself, I would not think would be the responsible triggering mechanism for the microphone. I would not think that it would do that for the DEW either. It's possible. Oh boy. You guys are making me want to watch airspace over all the places that have... Should I do that? Is that a good hobby? That doesn't sound like a good hobby. That sounds awful. Oh gosh, I should look. Okay, here's what I'll say. A directed energy weapon, I have to look into it more because that is the sort of thing that hypothetically could come from a plane, hypothetically. But I don't know that that is currently where we're at as far as our R&D. That sounds DARPA to me. I'm like, is there good information on it? Oh gosh, I hope somebody's saying, I hope that someone's saying in the chat that that's there's nothing on the Hades jets that I would think appears to be a triggering mechanism. And my best guess currently would be that that's not the sort of thing that system wouldn't be directly responsible for triggering it. That's my best guess, but I don't know for sure. And I need to look into it more before I give an answer. That's off the top of my head. You know what I mean? So I'm going to look I have to go watch ADN's thing now, don't I? I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice, do I? Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for the floating heart. You are awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you, Auntie. I appreciate it. Okay. Hi, eyes wide open. Anna, can you check to see if any planes were over BC or CO last Friday? Yes, I can. Do you mean BC is in British Columbia? It's a very big area. Oh gosh, do you mean Baron Coleman? Eyes wide open. You're gonna have to be a little bit more specific. What are you talking about? Let's see if any planes were over Baron or Candace. What do we mean? What do we mean by that? Well, no, don't make me worried now. So I have a vague understanding. Oh, are you talking about when Butthead was over there with Candace? That I can look into. Okay, I'm like, don't scare me. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to I will take a look to see. My feeling has been something that I've observed is that Turning Point seems to be aware that we're kind of onto them. Hi, Andy. Andy, friend of the show. Both of them. Hi, Blake, friend of the show. Blake Wynn and Blake Neff. Daisy and hi, Pastor Sailor Moon, friend of the show. They seem to be very aware. I believe personally that the discovery and conversation around the potential air Mima, personally, I believe that it's resulted in them changing their behavior. Now, I'm like, on this channel right here, on this little channel, we did start to posit that theory on the 23rd, and then it was on July 27th that I went on Stu and talked to him about it, about the potential ring. So for me, my thought has been, well, it's interesting that Rob McCoy hopped his little behind right onto a jet and went on that podcast 2 days later. Kind of weird. So I think he's watching. I think so. And I think that it's resulted in them changing their behavior. So my estimation is that realistically, I think that they probably put him on commercial. But I am going to peek. I mean, of course I'm going to peek. Of course I'm going to peek. Oh my gosh, why did I think that you meant British Columbia and Colorado? Okay. But I do not believe personally that they, and I don't know where Baron and Candace live exactly, but I know the state. I'll take a peek at some of the areas, So thanks. Hi, Tornado. Hi, Allie. Allie says, pinch me. I'm so blessed to be a part of this community. The amount of amazing researchers I've met through all this is unreal. Love what you're doing. Allie, I love you too. Thank you. That is high praise. You guys, Allie, Miss Tornado, she is brilliant. And she's someone who has been tracking along with this information. Allie and I happened to hop on a roundtable with her, and it was so fun. We were with Scott too. Shout out to Scott. Love you, Scott. And it was just such a wonderful conversation. And so, Allie, if we can talk you into joining our girls roundtable, I'm like, gentlemen, plug your ears. Listen, we do like kind of a ladies roundtable. That's what we're trying to kind of do. No offense to the fellas, you guys are invited too, but I do think that it's really awesome, all of the hard work that's being done by incredible researchers like you and like Allie and many others, Rio. And so we have fun. We get in there. It's just casual. It's girl chat, and it's really a blast. I'd love for you to come. So please consider this your invitation, and I hope that we'll be able to figure something out with that soon. Thank you, honey. I know it's so much fun how many people that we like meet. It's like, I mean, I was thinking about that and I was like, wow, and I was kind of thinking about it and I was like, okay, that's why I'm not going to be that's why I'm not going to do the drama thing. No. I know sometimes, you can't really avoid it, but I'm not going to do the drama thing. Everybody who is earnestly seeking truth, those are all of the people on the same side. Some of us do different jobs. Some of us do different pieces of it. Some of us do different things. To me, I have always felt as though it is going to take all of us. And I mean that when I say it. So I'm just so excited to be here with you guys. And I'm really excited to keep meeting more of you. And I'm excited for us to keep this thing going. So I'm trying to look at the chat here. Oh my gosh, you guys are so cute. And also, if you don't watch the chat, like, what are you even doing? Because the chat's amazing. Jump in. If anyone's a lurker, I encourage you to join the chat. Everybody in the chat is so great. And they you guys, they're incredible. Okay, well, you know what time it is? It is time for some chicken Alfredo for me. I was a good kitty. I did all my stuff, and then I'm gonna go and eat my little snacky. And I have some research to do. I gotta go watch ADN's thing. That's what I gotta do. I think that I will be back. What day is it? So today is Tuesday. I think I'm going to be off tomorrow. I might jump on with Stu tomorrow. I don't know. We got to kind of see. Stu has Owen Benjamin with him tomorrow. So please watch it. That's going to be incredible. But I don't know for sure if I'll be with him that day or maybe it'll be the day after. I don't totally know. But I'll be back with you guys on Thursday. Regardless, and I cannot wait. And I love you all so much. I hope everybody has a beautiful, blessed Tuesday afternoon. I don't know what time Candace is going. Guys, I started early because I was thinking that for sure, Candace is going to go early. Where's my brain? I don't know. We tried. I need some food because I've been surviving on cold brew and this. That's okay. We made it. We will soldier on. I want to make sure that I don't miss any, because I keep doing that. I keep like accidentally switching over. See, I knew. I had a feeling. Chat moves fast sometimes. I love you guys so much. It was such a pleasure hanging with you guys. Let's go watch Candace. I'll meet you guys over there. Love you. Bye, guys.